Hi, Shemai, and welcome back to vlog number 4. First of all, I need to apologise for the lights on the sky, on the roof of the car. I am wearing a sparkly top, and every time I move, the sun is shining, which is unusual for Wales. It's a beautiful day, but every time I move, I get these little sparkles everywhere, which is kind of cool, actually, in a way. But yeah, I'm sorry if they're annoying. I will try and stay still. So what have I been up to then? I had quite a productive night last night. I started with my manuscript, Chasing Promises, and I was editing. I've now edited up to and including chapter 19 out of 35. So I've got another 15 to go, so I'm more than halfway. I managed to do 2 scenes last night. But I found that I was getting tired. By the second scene, I was like, oh, it'll do. Oh, I can't be bothered to read it back over it again. And I know that's when I need to put it down because I'm not putting as much of my focus into it as I should be. So I stopped after 2. And then I pulled out my short story and started continuing to plan that, which woke me up because it's the creative side of my brain and it loves doing things like that. So I finished the outline. It's my car again. I finished the outline. I've planned out the subplots. I've planned out the antagonists, or the antagonist force in the story and how that's going to work across the whole series. Remember, I'm looking at this as a 6 short stories leading up to the end. So there's one goal that goes the entire way through and then 6 small chunks of story in the series. I was looking at my first story in particular and how I'm going to start the first scene and the conflict, and making sure that the conflict in my first scene links to the goal of that scene, and that's really, really important. And then I went a step further and looked at, right, so does that scene relate to my story goal? Does it relate to my series goal? And then tweaked until they all lined up. And I actually was quite pleased with the result. So I'll be starting to draft that soon. Once I finished that, I then watched a film called Awaken on Netflix, which was a little bit strange. I don't normally watch things like that, but I'm running out of stuff to watch. I feel like I'm watching the same thing over and over. So on it, he goes to sleep and dreams of a woman who's not long passed away, that he doesn't really know. So he does that for 10 nights and he falls in love with her. And I think it's a low budget film, but they do a good job of developing the characters. They do a good job of the little subplot, some cheesy moments in it, but they do a good job of making you feel like they are in love with each other. It did happen a bit fast. It went into it a bit fast for me, and there wasn't much of a build up to it, but it was okay. The trouble was, because she'd already passed away, you're watching him in these dreams with this woman, and they're falling in love, and you're falling in love with them, and you're like, oh, but they're not gonna get a happy ending because when he wakes up in the morning, of course, she's not there. And I'm watching it thinking, how are they going to make this a happy ending? By that point, I was more curious than anything else, because I am massively into happy endings. I do not like it when you get to the end and one of them dies and then it's all this thing of, but while the love lasts, it was wonderful, the best gift. You're like, no. They need to be together in the end. They need to live happily ever after. I am such a sucker for Disney endings. So in this film, I'm watching it thinking they're not going to go together. It's not going to happen. And the whole time just hoping for a miracle, that she's going to somehow magically come back to life, that love will bring her back to life. Again, too much Disney. And then they will live happily ever after. And even though my brain was saying, it's not going to happen, dream on, Kate, it's not going to happen. So even though that, I still felt disappointed in the end when she didn't come back to life. I mean, they left it with a hopeful ending. It was a nice little tie-up at the end. It was quite sweet, and, you know, you could see that he was going to have a future anyway, and with love in it and stuff. Yeah, it was sweet, but I did feel a little sad at the end. So when I finished that, I then pulled up my laptop and I started working on my social media strategy and things, and what I want to tweak and change and how I want it. It's hard at this stage when you're first starting out to find your voice, to find what are your strengths in an area that I've never done before, you know? And to try and get your personality across on the screen. I find that really difficult, because if I'm teaching a lesson, I go into teacher mode, you know, I'm professional, and yet when I'm talking, this is why I did the vlog as a separate thing, to try and pull my personality out, because it's not going to come across in any other videos, most likely. I will be this professional teacher. Whereas these are more like being relaxed about talking about whatever comes into your head, really. Or nothing, as has just happened. Tumbleweeds are now suddenly going over my head, not knowing what to say. So yeah, so I am currently looking at my social media strategy and seeing what I'm doing wrong, or what is working, what's not working, which platform is working better, and just what I need to do, really. And it's never a good idea to pull your laptop out at 11 o'clock at night when you've gone up into bed, because it was about 1 o'clock in the morning by the time I put it away and went to sleep. And I felt it this morning getting out of bed. And I'm feeling it today now as well, trying to keep the energy up for teaching. But no, it's all good. It's all good. And I will continue with my story tonight. I've got line dancing tonight, so that's always fun. Shattering, but fun. And yeah, and I will share more of my short story as I develop it. So thank you very much for listening. If you like what you see, what you hear, and what you think I be able to offer you as a writer, as a reader, then hit that like, hit that subscribe, and get in touch. You know, it'd be really nice to hear from you as well, to know that I'm not alone in the world. Anyway, diolch yn fawr. Hwyl fawr.